a lot of problems. I think that it's an extremely politically charged environment, perhaps the most politically charged environment on the planet. Politics is all anyone talks about all day, every day. The judicial system is politicized. The educational system is politicized. You couple in with the fact it's the most medicated country in the world. It's very unusual for someone who grew up in Europe to know a large percentage of his fellow students to be on some kind of anti-anxiety medication, some kind of depression medication. These SSRIs remove the humanity from the mind and just wipe their brain. You couple that with a hateful media, which is constantly spitting out hateful rhetoric, and you're going to have a whole bunch of drones walking around without humanity, waiting to receive their slave instructions, and they're going to believe that they're doing the right thing by murdering people as opposed to just talking to them. So America is a very, very interesting place with a lot of problems. It's easy to just blame guns. I think that's pretty shallow to do because you can kill with a car, you can kill with a knife. We need to find out why there's such a spiritual sickness across all of the Western world, especially America.
Wow. The way he broke that down was so brilliant. Like, he put everything that I said in 100 videos in one video. Literally, Andrew Tate just put everything that I said. Not saying that he's copying from me. Oh, no, I would never say that. He's the great one. But everything that I said, he put in a few little words on 1 or 2 minute clip of a video. This is how good this man is. This is how good this man is. He spoke about the Liberal Party and how they're waiting on their instructions. What to do next, boss? What to do next? But welcome to the show. Let's get to it. Let's go. Andrew Tate.
The governor in Utah gave a pretty powerful address today in which he appealed to people to tone down rhetoric, to get off social media, actually, as much as you can, get back to the real world where 80% of the population exists in America. You're very active on social media. You can be very inflammatory on social media. I mean, some of the tweets you've done since Charlie Kirk's death, the left are evil, murdering scum who kill people or let others kill people. They must be held accountable. They're not the good guys. The compassionate, nice guys want you dead, and they'll do it or encourage us to do it. I get 1,000 death threats a day from these people. We are at war. Civil war was another one. You know, some people will say, all right, Andrew Tate, you are part of the problem. You are yourself spewing pretty toxic stuff out to millions of people, whipping up rather than calming down the problem. What do you say to that?
Well, if you have a point of view, somebody can be radicalized by it, right? If you have any point of view on the planet, somebody can be radicalized by it. And social media, like all things, is a fantastic tool that can do amazing things. But if it's used the wrong way, it can also do very destructive things. I don't think the answer is to start telling people to not talk. I think the answer is more discussion, more debate. Because if you remove debate, the only answer is violence. So I think that it's also my tweets, which you just highlighted, the fact that I do receive death threats. Somebody did try to kill me only a few weeks ago. And then a friend of mine, a guy who I respected, was blasted and I had to watch him bleed out. I think it's pretty fair that to say that, of course, my tweets are going to be emotionally charged.
Ooh, he got him right there. He got him right there, because the thing about it, Andrew Tate is showing him that I'm actually going through this situation in real life, brother. He's the most hated man in the planet, Andrew Tate. That's why he has to move with multiple security guards. But now with these liberals are getting crazy. Now you don't only need regular security. You need like CIA snipers. You need like dudes with like tomahawks. You need bulletproof cars with anti-bombs. These liberals, they lost their mind. These liberals they're going crazy. I don't know what it is. It's like they drinking too much coffee and watching this CNN.
We can't get into a area where we say that we can't talk anymore, because that's only going to lead to more violence. We have to be able to speak to each other. And I think that you would agree, perhaps I'm wrong, that it's the left which seem to be the ones who are so obsessed with assassination. It seems to be the left which are more violent. Antifa and their riots trying to assassinate President Trump. An attempt was made on my life. An attempt was made on Nick Fuentes' life. They just killed Charlie Kirk. For us to sit here and pretend that this violence isn't going one way is disingenuous.
I certainly don't think it only goes one way. I certainly think it can go the way of any extremist, that the far right has its own problem with extremists. There have been lots of left-wing politicians and public figures who've been targeted. So I think it's a problem that goes both ways. But I have said for quite a while that the woke mind virus, as Elon Musk calls it, that ideology is extremely dangerous, because the irony of it is you've got this kid who is, purporting to be anti-fascist, but actually using violence and a gun to silence permanently someone whose views he doesn't agree with. The point being, that is the epitome of fascism.
Well, that's exactly it. So the reason this is so dangerous from the left, and it's not as dangerous.
Yeah. That's a good example. You see, the thing about the left, they talk about a lot of things they don't even know the definition of. Even if you're in a debate with them, and I'm far from a debater. Trust me, I'm far from a debater, but I won a lot of debates. You know what I'm saying? I won a lot of debates. And I'll tell you this. These people are being brainwashed. These Antifas and these organizations, they got these hidden names. These are like these are assassination groups. These are groups that they're like the secrets. When people talk about secret society, like they talk about groups like the Black Lives Matter. Now it's called Black Lives Matter, but it was hidden under a name called Antifa. You know what I'm saying? Under that, it was hidden under another name that was probably just like in a discourse, and there was like anti-terrorist groups, and they just moved up. Now they moved up, so now they branded themselves better. They branded themselves into Black Lives Matter, and now Antifa was something that wasn't supposed to be known, but now they became popularized through investigation. These liberals, man, they move in circles where, you might get your head chopped off if you leave, I'm just saying.
Just from the right. It's because the people who are on the right live in a version of objective reality. We live in the real world. These people do not live in the real world. If you're going to believe that a man is a woman, and you're going to believe that we should have no borders for our country and unlimited numbers of people can turn up and just steal from us, if you're going to believe that criminals shouldn't go to jail, you're not a person who's sensible. You now have no parameters from which to operate your logic. So if you're going to live in a complete fantasy land, it becomes a lot easier to justify murdering a political opponent than it does if you operate from a frame of rationality.
Yes. He said it just if you're operating in a world where everything is fantasy, where you're a black man and you could call yourself a white man, if you're a white man, you could just say, yo, I'm a black man. I identify as a black man. I'm a woman. I can identify as a man. I'm a man. I can identify. If you live in a world where there's no rules and you could do what you want, no borders, no rules, it's just chaos. Think about it. Think about that type of world when you think about the Bible. Just think about like parts in the Bible where they talk about there's a place where it's just wow, there's reckless. There's no rules. I think it was a section in the Bible with Moses. Remember in the movie when in Moses, everybody just became wild. The people that didn't want, the ocean to separate and, Moses' people to be free. You didn't see that segment in the movie when the people was just wild. They was like corrupted by evil spirit. They was partying. They was having sex. Men was touching men. Females was touching females. It was chaos. And then the next day, they got flooded.
personality. So for that reason, the left are far more dangerous because all of their ideas are dangerous because none of them are true. None of them are real. For the same reason it's dangerous for me to say to you, gravity isn't real, you can jump off a building. If you start believing in things that are complete.
That was a good point. Think about what he just said. He said the left lives in a world where they live in a world that's not real. If I lived in the same world the left lived in, it's like telling you to jump off a building, making you believe that gravity don't exist, bro. It's your world. Just jump off the building. That's how the left thinks. They live in a world that is a fantasy. They live in a world where there's no gravity, when there is gravity. And if you jump off a building, you could possibly die. But the left, in their brain, they're lost. That's why they get the encouragement to go in. Actually, a person in college that passed the background check, they passed all these checks. They actually made it to college and could go and think they could snipe somebody from a roof and live a few miles away in the suburbs. That's fantasy, and think that you can't get caught. That's the fantasy the left puts you in. They put you in a world of imagination.
Completely falsified, completely fantasy, then murder is the end result of all of it. So the left is a serious problem across the world. It's a serious problem across America, especially. You add in a spiritual sickness where we have nothing unifying us in the West anymore. We don't share respect for a flag. We don't share respect for the country we're in. We don't share language. We don't share religion. We don't even share economic prosperity anymore. There's literally nothing unifying us. And if you're going to remove the capability to debate and discuss ideas, then you're going to have an absolute civil war. And that's what's so sad, that Charlie Kirk literally was the number one guy trying to speak. He wasn't trying to inflame tensions. He wasn't trying to push violence. He was the guy saying, look, let's talk this through and let me show you why you're wrong. He was the good guy who did the right thing, and he caught a bullet for it. And that is truly devastating.
But when you post civil war, literally one post just said civil war, what do you mean by that? What do you expect?
I mean that civil war is coming.
What do you mean by that? That means it's war. You know what war is? We at war. And a lieutenant got taken out. Charlie Kirk, he was the first victim. It's always that one that gets shot. It's always that one that's sacrificed for the rest of us. The rest of us conservatives that's going to get up and we going to stand up. And we going to be at the front line. Troops on deck. Bullet in the clip. And we ready to march. Because them liberals, yeah, they started something that could possibly end with their end.
If we can't talk to each other.
Well, that's a different sentiment. Had you said that, then fair enough. But just to say civil war is...
Well, did I give a verb?
Well, what you're saying by civil war, you're saying to your followers that you believe there is a state of civil war here. Now, as you know, the Civil War in America was one of the most consequential periods in its history and was waged with gun violence.
Well, I can answer that in two.
Well, this civil war is a little different. This one, we playing the more digital civil war. You know, like we just talk a lot of crap on the internet, right, guys? Wait.
Ways. Firstly, if conservatives can't give their opinion and they can't talk openly and freely without catching a bullet, then I guess it is a war. But that wasn't what I was inferring. I was inferring that civil war is coming if we can't speak to each other and unify behind an idea, especially the idea of being an American. You've now added a verb saying that I was trying to incite civil war, because very much like all other media figures, it's your primary intention.
I didn't add anything.
It's your primary intention to just spin up negative clips and find things that get you
what do you mean I
views.
added?
And that's exactly what the liberal media has always done, which is why conservatives are under permanent attack. We're going to now sit here and say I'm a violent person.
No, I didn't say that.
When someone else turns up at my house attempting to kill me like they did 3 weeks ago,
why are you putting words
that has nothing to do with you, Pierce?
Why are you
the liberal media in and of itself is truly disgusting. It's the reason why Charlie Kirk had to eat a bullet. Because the liberal media convinced this guy who's probably looks like he's on SSRIs to me, that Charlie Kirk was the heart of evil when he truly wasn't. So please do not in this conversation about a fallen comrade do not do the exact thing the media always do and the exact thing that ended up getting him killed. Do not say I said something I didn't say, and do not give some garbage
can I get a word
inference trying to get a bunch of clicks
Can I say something?
on your channel. You may need money, but I don't, sir. So I don't care
let me
about
just
clicks.
respond.
You may be broke. I'm not. I didn't say let's go to civil war.
If I may
didn't
respond,
say let's start a civil war.
If I may respond,
I said
you can keep talking, Andrew, or you can shut up. I never added any verb. I literally read your post was 2 words.
And neither did I.
Civil war. I never added a verb.
Inferred,
so the whole
sir.
pretext for your whole pretext for your little rant about me is based on a lie, which the viewers will know was a lie because they heard what I said. I never added any words to your post. I read out the words civil war and asked you what you meant by it.
The word infer
you then
means?
clarified it. You then clarified it. And I would say to you in return that if you don't want people to misinterpret your post, then maybe post what you actually mean rather than posting the words civil war, which I think are incendiary.
Thank you very much. It's clear that conservatives are under attack by a rabid left-wing sect of the population, which is being radicalized by media figures, very much like yourself. That is clear. We just saw a man bleed to death in front of his wife and children, purely because the media convinces everybody at home that he is evil somehow for having an opinion.
There is an irony. There is an irony.
That is the weapon of the left. The weapon of the left is not always violence through direct command, but the weapon of the left is using the media. That's why they control majority of the media, because they understood after the Civil War that they had to control the media in order to get back their slaves. They understood that if they could get in these airways and spewed out negativity and keep them scared and keep them running back to the plantation, they knew eventually they would get your vote back. They knew they would get your vote back by controlling the media. And if you control the media, you could control and build your own army. You could build an army of soldiers that you never even met before, but they would die for you. They would die for you. They will die for your beliefs because you own the media. You own the airways. You own their mind. And that's why the Liberal Party is a party of a disease that needs to stop spreading. And we need to create an antiviral that can eradicate the liberal spread.